Alright, so if we're talking about 1980s and 1980s pop culture, then you cannot make a video like this without talking about Peewee Herman. So yes, I do in fact own a Peewee Herman ventriloquist puppet. This guy was made by Matchbox Toys. Yes, the same people who make those little Hot Wheels kind of cars. And they were also the same company who produced the talking doll of this guy right here. Peewee was actually a very big celebrity back in his day. Paul Rubens, the actor who played him, was actually fairly known back in his day as a character actor. He didn't just play Peewee, I believe it was during the 1980s, it might have been the late 70s, that he actually had a role in a Cheech and Chong movie. I forget if it was Up in Smoke, but he was playing this guy who was just like drugged out of his mind. And he had some very interesting lines. I'll say that much. But anyway, so this is the Peewee Herman ventriloquist puppet. I'm fairly certain that y'all will have seen the video that I did where I actually fixed this guy, where I cleaned him up and made him look somewhat presentable. Still haven't taken a magic eraser to his loafers, but I'll get there eventually. And I'm still kind of put off by the stuff on his back, but at this point, after I cleaned and scrubbed and scraped on it for so long, I'm pretty sure that stuff's just stained in. There were a couple other things from when I was repairing him that I still haven't been able to properly fix, like how the front of his forehead right there is kind of smashed in, and he's got a crack right here along the tip of his hair. But anyway, enough about that. So Peewee, like most ventriloquial dolls, has a string, or had a string that would come out the back of his head right here, which I have replaced with some high-tension fishing line, which allows him to go and open his mouth again. Unfortunately, his mouth kind of sticks if you open it too far. But I think that was a design flaw from just when he was originally made back in the 80s. As a matter of fact, I can see where it sticks. Anyways, he's dressed up like the iconic character. Got the gray outfit that's a little ever so slightly too short for him, or at least on the one side on mine. He's got his loafers, which are actually attached to his feet because, well, they are his feet. They go up to there, and then that's where the cloth starts. That is my Peewee Herman ventriloquist figure. Moving on to the next one, which I think the next one is going to be in the next decade. It's either going to be from the 90s or later, so... Well, actually, no. It's a cloth figure. You'll see who it is here in just a moment. Okay, so speaking of 1980s and pop culture, there is a certain most wonderful place in the world, a certain resort that was very big in the 80s and 70s, that was very popular for a certain mouse mascot. Huh? That was a very poor impression of him, but there was, in fact, a set of theme parks that had a kind of interesting walk-around character. That is, a person wearing a costume who walks around and interacts with the guests. And this guy was only around, to my knowledge, during the 80s, and I think maybe a little into the early 1990s. And he carried around the puppet that I now have in my hand. This isn't an original one. This isn't one from the parks, even though technically it is. This guy was a souvenir that was able to be purchased from the gift shop at Disney parks back in that time frame, and you can kind of see his horn poking up. Yes, friends, I have a puppet of Figment the dragon. Full body puppet. What's strange to me is that all the other ones that I've been able to find online have a yellow sweatshirt on with an orange collar and stuff. When I found this particular fella at the Goodwill, because yes, I found him at the Goodwill, this is exactly how I found him. No shirt, no shoes, no service. And he is actually a puppet. He's got a hole in the back of his head right here. And of course, you insert your hand into said hole, like this, My hands are a little big for this puppet, so I'm trying to be delicate so I don't pop any seams. And then, you just blah, 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 blah. You make his mouth move. Now, I think this is the second or third time that this charming little fella has appeared on my channel. If you check out the link up here, you'll see where I actually showed him off a little bit once upon a time. There's not a whole lot that I can say about this figure because, well, unfortunately I don't know a whole lot about him. I just know that he has developed quite the fan base over the years, and I happen to have several pieces of merchandise of this character. I've got him, I've got a little doll, a little plush toy of him, then I've got like a squeaky toy of him, and somewhere I've got a couple of little vinyl PVC figures. Yeah, that's Figment the Dragon. And I believe he hung out with the Dream Maker? Is that right, Figment? I think so. But it's been so long I could be wrong. Yes, yes, Figment, I know. Your star will shine again someday. So now, moving on from Figment, I'll show you the next puppet that I have from the next decade. Well, actually, no, I think I've got one more from the 80s, and then we'll move on to the 90s. So stay tuned. Alright, so next we have another puppet that I picked up. If I'm not mistaken, I actually picked up this puppet the same day I picked up that Willy Talk that doesn't have any clothes. This particular little nightmare, I believe, was a part of a Christian camp group thing. All I can tell you is it's supposed to be a lightning bug named Sparky. Hello, ladies and gentle people. I can see you with my Google eyes. But yes, I have an original Awana Sparky. And you can tell this is an original one because it's still got the original tag, which is like brand new, sewn into his backside here. That and the fact that he looks old. I mean, look at the felt on his vest here, look at the felt on his hat. This guy's seen some stuff. Lots and lots of stuff. Stuff you don't want to know about. And for whatever reason, I just love making him creepy. I mean, I'm sure the most innocent of intentions were put behind this puppet back when he was originally made back in his day. But there's just something ever so slightly off-putting about this guy. I just can't put my finger on it. I think it's just the googly eyes and just the way his mouth moves. Originally, when this guy was made, this is me guessing a little bit, he had like little sticks that would button into his hands so you could like make gestures like this and stuff. You can kind of see that sort of thing in action. I don't know if I've hit my limit for videos that I'm able to tag, but if you look in my Baroom video, you can see me using a chopstick to kind of move his hand around while he's singing between Jerry Mahoney and Jerry Mahoney. Oh, Larry is dead, and O'Reilly don't know it. O'Reilly is dead, and Larry don't know it. They both are dead, and Larry's saying dead, and neither one knows it. The other one's dead. Maroon. You know the video. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Or I'll be watching you. And I don't know why, but I just love making him creepy like that. He's just perfect for that sort of thing. Anyways, that's Sparky. Okay, so stepping forward into the 1990s, we come to the next figure in my collection. Now, this one's a bit peculiar because it's literally two puppets in one. If you remember a certain children's network from back in the day, you would know that there is, in fact, a wide range of characters that were made popular on there. A whole crap ton of cartoons that were on the airs during my childhood, at the very least, that were just awesome. And towards the end of the 90s, they rolled out with some also interesting characters. Case in point, we have a pair of conjoined brothers who are conjoined at the pelvis. Those brothers being named, respectively, Cat and Dog. Behold, I am holding in front of you an original 1998 Arco Toys Cat Dog puppet. Just showing y'all so you aren't like, that thing isn't a puppet. Yes, in fact I am. So I don't know precisely why they would make a puppet out of Cat Dog. I mean, if you're bored enough, do you want to have a three-way conversation with yourself? My body, garbage truck, ah! You know, play around with them like that, then I suppose that's a thing. But just, I don't know, it's silly, it's odd. I was a big fan of Cat Dog back in the day when they were at their most popular, and just, when I saw these guys at the Goodwill, I could not pass them up. The price was right, the good pillow and stuffed animal bin that these were in had them at only $1, so I just snatched them up and I brought them home. So yeah, that's my Cat Dog puppet. Let's see, okay, we're gonna cut here real quick, and when we come back, I'll have the next puppet ready to show y'all. And I think we're just gonna skip the rest of the 90s, because this is the only 1990s puppet that I currently have. So, be right back, folks. I'll figure it out.